There's a letter that arrives somewhere around your 62nd birthday. It tells you that you can start collecting Social Security now. And for most people, that's exactly when they do. Nearly 1 in 3 Americans claims at 62, the very first month they're allowed to. It feels like the safe choice. Take the money while it's there. But that single decision is permanent. And it's worth more than almost anyone realizes. Because Social Security isn't one number, it's a range. And where you land in that range is the difference of about $100,000 over the course of your retirement. $100,000 for a decision most people make in an afternoon without ever running the math. One thing before we go further. This is the United States system, Social Security. If you're in Britain or Europe, your state pension runs on different rules, and that's a separate conversation. Today, the American number. Here's how it actually works. You get an 8-year window to start your benefit, anytime between 62 and 70. And the month you choose inside that window sets your check for the rest of your life. Most people treat it as a question of when they can get their money. The data says it's a very different question. It's a question of how much. So let's walk through the 3 doors. Start in the middle. For anyone born in 1960 or later, your full retirement age is 67. Claim then, and you get 100% of what you earned, your full check. That's the baseline. Door number 1. Door number 2. Claim at 62, the earliest, and your check is cut. Permanently. By 30%. Not for a year. Not until you catch up. For life, you'd collect 70 cents for every dollar you could have had. 30%. Gone. From every check you'll ever cash. And door number 3. Wait past your full age, all the way to 70, and the system does the opposite. It adds 8% more for every single year you wait. By 70, your check is 24% larger than your full benefit. Larger than the baseline. Same person. Same work history. Same lifetime of earnings. 3 doors, and 3 completely different checks. Look at the top of the scale. In 2026, the most you can collect claiming at 62 is about $2,900 a month. At full age, about $4,100. And at 70, just over $5,200. The check at 70 is about 76% bigger than the check at 62. Not a few dollars more. Most of the way to double. Every single month. The same money you paid in. Paying back at wildly different rates depending on one date. And here's the part that catches people. That date isn't a decision you can keep revisiting. Once you claim, the number locks. There's a tiny window to undo it. And then it's set. So the choice that feels safest, taking it early, is also the one that locks in the smallest check you can get. But a bigger monthly check isn't the whole story, because the person who waits gives up years of payments to get it, which raises the real question. Does waiting actually pay? Picture 2 people with the exact same benefit. One claims at 62. The other waits until 70. For 8 years, the early claimer is collecting checks, and the other one is collecting nothing. Early on, the 62 claimer is way ahead. They've banked years of income while the other one waited. But the bigger check slowly catches up. And somewhere around age 80, the lines cross. After that, the person who waited is ahead, and stays ahead for as long as they live. Around 80. That's the hinge. Live past it, and waiting wins. Don't, and claiming early was the better call. Which means this was never really a money question. It's a health question wearing a money costume. Run it all the way out. For someone who lives to 95, claiming at 70 instead of 62 can mean about $170,000 more, collected over a lifetime. Live a long life, and the gap just keeps widening. So the first number that matters isn't in any government table. It's the one nobody likes to estimate. How long you plan to be here, your health, your family history, the ages your parents reached. That's the number that decides which door is right for you, long before the dollars do. But longevity is only the first thing the early check costs you. There's a second one, and it hits the people who are still working, which, if you're watching this, might be you. The working trap. A lot of people claim at 62 while they're still working. It feels like a bonus, a paycheck and a social security check at the same time. The system has other ideas. If you claim before your full age and you're still earning, there's a limit, about $24,000 a year in 2026. Earn more than that, and they hold back $1 of your benefit for every $2 you go over. So you took the smaller check early, and then they hand part of it back, smaller still. While you're working, you do get that held back money returned later in a slightly larger check after your full age. It isn't lost forever, but the lesson lands hard. Claiming early while you're still earning is often the worst of both worlds. The smallest check, held back even further. So far, this looks like a simple story. Wait if you can. But there's a force working on the other side. One that quietly rewards the bigger check even more. And almost no one factors it in. The quiet multiplier. Every year, Social Security raises everyone's check to keep up with the cost of living. In 2026, that raise was 2.8%. It sounds small. Over time, it isn't. Here's why it matters. That raise is a percentage, and a percentage of a bigger check is more dollars. So every year, the larger benefit doesn't just stay larger. The gap between the two checks gets wider. The advantage compounds. The bigger check grows in bigger dollars, year after year, quietly stretching the distance between the two paths. Longevity, the working trap, the cost of living raise. Three forces, and all three reward the same thing, a bigger base to start from. Which makes the case for waiting look almost obvious. Almost, except for one more number. And this one is outside your control entirely. The number you don't control. Social Security is funded by today's workers paying in for today's retirees. For years now, more has been going out than coming in. So the program has been drawing down a reserve fund, savings built up over decades. The program's own trustees project that, if Congress makes no changes, that reserve runs short around 2034. At that point, the system could pay only about 81% of what's scheduled, not zero, about 81 cents on the dollar. Now, every time the program has reached a moment like this before, Congress has acted. Whether it will again, and how, is not something anyone can promise you. It's simply a variable. And a clear-eyed plan accounts for it, which cuts against the easy answer. Because if there's any uncertainty out past the early 30s, then the years of guaranteed checks you'd collect by starting sooner carry a real value of their own. And this is where the whole thing comes back together. Because look at what actually decides this. Not the government's formula, your health, and how long you plan to be here. Whether you have other money to live on while a bigger check grows. Whether you're still working. Put those together, and they point to your right age. Not the average person's, yours. Which is why the honest answer to when should you take Social Security is not a number. It's a question, handed right back to you. How long do you expect to need it? And what else are you standing on while you decide? Door 1, 62. More checks, each one smaller, starting sooner. Door 3, 70. Fewer checks, each one bigger, starting later. and the line between them crosses around 80. That is the whole decision. On one screen, it was never about getting the answer right for everyone. It was about getting it right for you. And the good news is, you don't have to guess. The numbers for your own situation already exist. They're sitting in your record, waiting for you to look. So here is the one thing worth doing this week. Not a decision, just a look. Pull up your own Social Security statement. It's free, on the government site. It shows your own check at 62, at your full age, and at 70. Write those 3 numbers down. Then ask the only questions that actually decide it. How long do I plan for? What am I living on in the meantime? Am I still working? That's your answer, built from your numbers, not anyone else's. Because the people who get this decision right aren't the ones who waited the longest, or the ones who claimed the fastest. They're the ones who looked at their own numbers before they signed. That letter is going to arrive. Maybe it already has. You don't have to answer it the day it comes. You just have to answer it. On purpose. One decision. Made once. Worth about $100,000. Now you know what it's really asking. Take the time to get it right. It's your decision. And now, your numbers. We'll see you in the next one.